Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the most glamorous, scandalous, and emotionally charged moments of your favorite daytime drama. Today is a beautiful day to unpack the explosive tensions brewing in Los Angeles. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let us explore the shocking twists and heart-stopping confrontations awaiting us at Forrester Creations. The gleaming, modern corridors of Forrester Creations have always been a battleground for legacy, power, and broken hearts. But the episode airing on Thursday, May 21st, 2026, promises to push the overarching conflict between the Logan and Forrester families to an absolute boiling point. The air inside the iconic fashion house is thick with an almost suffocating tension, primarily radiating from a completely devastated and radicalized Hope Logan Spencer. For weeks, Hope has been subjected to a relentless campaign of corporate marginalization, watching helplessly as her life's work, the Hope for the Future line, was repeatedly sidelined in favor of Eric Forster's haute couture. However, the true source of Hope's current agony is not just the loss of her brand, but the profound, shattering betrayal she has just experienced at the hands of her own mother, Brooke Logan Forrester. Hope had placed all her faith in a desperate, hostile takeover strategy, actively pushing Brooke to usurp Steffy Forrester Finnegan's position as co-CEO. Hope truly believed that Brooke would fight tooth and nail to secure the executive seat, thereby saving Hope for the future and restoring the Logan family's respect within the company. Instead, Hope was forced to swallow a bitter pill of maternal hypocrisy. When Ridge Forrester ultimately chose to stand by his daughter, Brooke did not fight, she capitulated. Brooke abandoned their shared corporate crusade, chose the security of her marriage, slept with Ridge in the executive office, and then sent Steffy a highly diplomatic text message praising her leadership. For Hope, this is not merely a business failure. It is a profound emotional abandonment. She feels entirely betrayed, realizing that Brooke used her pain as a catalyst for a power grab, only to retreat the moment her romantic relationship was threatened. With her mother's betrayal echoing in her mind and her professional legacy crumbling before her eyes, Hope finds herself backed into a corner with absolutely nothing left to lose. The sorrow and tears that consumed her the previous day have now crystallized into a cold, unyielding fury. Hope realizes that playing the role of the patient, understanding designer has only made her a target for Steffy's condescension. Driven by a visceral need for closure and vindication, Hope makes the fateful decision to march directly into the co-CEO office for a final, volcanic confrontation with her longtime rival. The visual imagery of Hope storming down the executive hallway, her face a mask of determined rage, sets the stage for a showdown that will alter the fundamental power dynamics of Forrester Creations forever. When Hope throws open the doors to the executive suite, she finds Steffy Forrester Finnegan waiting, radiating the smug, arrogant confidence of a woman who has just survived a coup and emerged victorious. Steffy is firmly entrenched behind the massive executive desk, a physical manifestation of the immense power she wields over Hope's destiny. Steffy is not just prepared for this confrontation, she welcomes it. In Steffy's mind, Hope is not a victim of corporate restructuring, but a manipulative architect of her own demise. Steffy firmly believes that Hope was the puppet master who manipulated Brooke into launching the hostile takeover attempt in the first place. For Steffy, Brooke's sudden demand to be named co-CEO was entirely out of character for the current era of their family dynamic, and she correctly deduces that Hope's desperation over her paused fashion line was the true catalyst for the boardroom warfare. As the two women face off, the dialogue crackles with years of accumulated resentment, jealousy, and fundamental philosophical differences. Steffy does not hold back, unleashing a torrent of accusations against Hope. She accuses the blonde designer of acting like a spoiled, entitled child who runs to her mother the moment she does not get her way. Steffy views Hope's actions as a direct threat not only to her own authority, but to the stability of the entire Forrester family legacy. The confrontation rapidly descends into a bitter exchange of personal insults and professional ultimatums. Hope, refusing to back down, demands definitive, unequivocal answers about the future of her production line. She's exhausted by the vague promises and the endless delays, demanding to know exactly when, or if, hope for the future will ever see the light of day again. Steffy, however, is unyielding. Empowered by Ridge's recent validation and Brooke's pathetic text message of surrender, Steffy delivers the final, crushing blow. She looks Hope dead in the eye and officially confirms that hope for the future is dead. Steffy arrogantly reiterates that the company's sole focus will remain on Eric Forster's couture, completely dismissing the youth demographic and the millions of dollars Hope's line has historically generated. The sheer cruelty of Steffy's attitude, her condescending, or what, demeanor, pushes Hope to her absolute psychological limit. The tension in a room reaches a fever pitch as Hope realizes that her tenure at the company her family helped build is effectively over. The writing is on the wall. Hope must either submit to a lifetime of corporate humiliation under Steffy's tyrannical rule, or she must walk out the door. The episode leaves Hope teetering on the precipice of officially quitting or being unceremoniously fired, a cliffhanger that will leave audiences breathless. Meanwhile, the ripples of this explosive confrontation are already being felt across town at the Logan Fashion House. Liam Spencer and his father, Bill Spencer, are waiting in the wings, practically salivating at the prospect of Hope defecting to their newly established brand. Liam, who has grown deeply exhausted by watching his wife endure Steffy's relentless mistreatment, has just delivered another long, impassioned speech to Hope. He fiercely advocates for her to abandon the toxic environment of Forster Creations and bring her visionary talent to Katie Logan Spencer's company. For Liam, this is about protecting the woman he loves from further emotional abuse. For Bill Spencer, however, the motivations are far more strategic and aggressive. Bill views the potential acquisition of Hope Logan not just as a business victory, but as the ultimate weapon to wield against Ridge Forster and the entire Forster empire. Yet, amidst the Spencer men's eager anticipation, Katie Logan Spencer is drowning in a sea of profound internal conflict. While Liam and Bill cheer for Hope's imminent arrival, Katie is paralyzed by a severe moral dilemma. Following a brutal confrontation with her sister Donna, Katie is forced to question the true nature of her corporate ambition. Is she offering Hope a lifeline because she genuinely believes in the young woman's talent, or is she subconsciously using her niece as a pawn to enact a 20-year-old revenge plot against Brooke for stealing Bill Spencer? Katie is terrified that her actions might permanently destroy the already fragile bonds of the Logan family. If Hope is fired or quits after her confrontation with Steffy, Katie knows the pressure to hire her will be astronomical, but she worries deeply about the catastrophic fallout that will inevitably follow. While the corporate warfare threatens to tear the legacy families apart, an entirely different, deeply psychological horror is unfolding in another corner of Forster Creations. Electra Forster, who has been struggling to navigate a complex love quadrangle while maintaining her professional composure, is about to be hit with a revelation that will shatter her world. Electra carries the profound, lingering trauma of a devastating deepfake scandal, a violation that nearly destroyed her mental health and reputation. The architect of that digital abuse, a man named Remy Price, has been a phantom haunting her memories. But in Thursday's episode, the phantom becomes a terrifying reality. Electra makes the horrifying discovery that Remy Price is not only in Los Angeles, but has been actively lurking around the halls of Forster Creations. The realization that her abuser is in such close physical proximity triggers a massive trauma response for Electra. The walls of the fashion house, which should be a safe haven, suddenly feel like a trap. The psychological weight of the deepfake scandal comes crashing back into the light, leaving Electra paralyzed by a visceral manifestation of PTSD. She is terrified, vulnerable, and desperate for answers. How did Remy find her? Why is he here? And most importantly, who at Forster Creations might be connected to him? The audience knows that Remy has been utilizing a sinister quid pro quo blackmail scheme to manipulate the newly promoted assistant, Melissa Dillon, but Elektra is entirely in the dark about this toxic connection. Melissa Dillon, meanwhile, is living in a state of sheer, unadulterated terror. Dillon has recently overcome immense personal hurdles, escaping the threat of homelessness and securing a coveted assistant position under Daphne Rose Walton. She has also just managed to mend her fractured friendship with Elektra, sharing a warm, heartfelt reconciliation. But the sudden, undeniable presence of Remy Price threatens to burn Dillon's newly rebuilt life to the ground. Dillon knows that Remy is a volatile, vindictive predator who will not hesitate to expose her past if she defies his dark demands. More importantly, Dillon harbors a dark, shameful secret. She is secretly cousins with Remy Price. The knowledge that she shares blood with the man who psychologically tortured her friend is a burden that is slowly eating Dillon alive. As Elektra's panic over Remy's presence escalates, Dillon realizes that the walls are closing in. She knows that it is only a matter of time before Elektra discovers the familial connection, either through Remy's malicious interference or through the inevitable gossip of the Forrester rumor mill. Driven by a desperate need to control the narrative and mitigate the impending disaster, Dillon makes the agonizing decision to confess. She approaches a frantic Elektra and drops the ultimate bombshell, admitting that the man who created the malicious deepfake videos is her own cousin. The confession hangs in the air, a heavy, suffocating truth that instantly alters the dynamic between the two young women. Elektra's initial reaction is one of profound shock, rapidly followed by a wave of suspicion and betrayal. The immediate, terrifying thought that crosses Elektra's mind is that Dillon was complicit in the abuse, that she was placed at Forrester Creations specifically to target her on Remy's behalf. Recognizing the catastrophic damage her confession has caused, Dillon immediately launches into a desperate, tearful explanation. She pleads with Elektra to believe her, swearing on her life that she had absolutely no prior knowledge of the deepfake videos until Elektra had confided in her about the trauma. Dillon explains the estrangement in her family, attempting to distance herself from the monstrous actions of her cousin, and begs Elektra not to let the sins of her relative destroy the genuine friendship they have cultivated. For Dillon, the stakes could not be higher. She is not just fighting to save a friendship, she is fighting for her very survival. If Elektra rejects her explanation and takes this information to Ridge or Steffy, Dillon knows she will be instantly terminated from her position at Forrester Creations. The fear of losing her job and being forced back in her car is a paralyzing reality. She is caught in an impossible labyrinth of blackmail and familial guilt, desperately hoping that Elektra's inherent kindness and capacity for forgiveness will win out over her entirely justified trauma and paranoia. The emotional intensity of Dillon's plea provides a stark, heartbreaking contrast to the corporate ruthlessness happening in the CEO office. As the episode draws to a close, the landscape of the bold and the beautiful is left fundamentally fractured. Hope Logan Spencer stands on the absolute brink of walking away from her legacy, pushed out by Steffy's unyielding arrogance and Brooke's devastating betrayal. The Spencer men wait like wolves at the door, ready to capitalize on the Forrester family's internal collapse, while Katie wrestles with the ghosts of her past. Simultaneously, Elektra Forrester is forced to confront the physical manifestation of her deepest trauma, while Melissa Dillon's future hangs by a thread, dependent entirely on whether Elektra can separate the sins of the abuser from the blood of the cousin. Thursday's episode is a masterclass in dramatic tension, setting the stage for a Friday